Test 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Out of it, but we will be, putting out some information to you and getting your opinions, and maybe, putting you in touch with the people locally at an early stage, so you maybe start getting some kind of a contact with them throughout the year.
One thing that I recognize the real value, besides working in a very worthy cause, is on these panels and in the major banks of telephones where they have them at the hotels. You're dealing with, on a pretty first-name basis, with a lot of the news media people that work for that television station. Person-to-person contacts for a couple of hours, maybe for, if you're really involved in the program, you'll meet them on and off during the course of the year. I think that's going to be invaluable next year. The other thing that I'd like for you to just kick around in your own heads, I've been thinking about it. We heard from Charlie Smith from Community Services, but federal employees really don't get the recognition on the kind of contributions that they give as a whole towards the United Way. The federal government always gets the recognition, in our case the FAA, and the controllers get little, if any, if no recognition. And kick around the idea and just solicit some input from your members that maybe we should establish in the future, I'm not saying now, but in the future, when organizationally we can't get it through, some sort of special dues assessment, maybe $1 a payday, 50 cents a payday, get out of the United Way contribution, set up our own charitable fund, which will be able to collect $300,000 or $400,000 easily every year, and have a committee established to make the disbursements to, like the telethons, to the United Way, and to the other charitable organizations, and the controllers and the union get recognition for it, which you don't get now. I think that's a near-term possibility. I think it is viable. I think it would be very worth it. Just think of each year, during the month of September, during the Labor Day telethon, the president of PAC could deliver a check in Las Vegas to Jerry Lewis on national TV of $50,000 or $75,000. And the same thing done with the cerebral palsy telethon. You wouldn't have to raise your monies locally like we do now to get on these VIP or celebrity panels, because you automatically get that. And I think just kick around the idea with the people now and see what kind of acceptance you get, and we'll talk about it later on in the year. We'll be putting out more information on the telethon as I get it, and I'm going to make a report to our executive board in Las Vegas on what we did here in Atlanta and what I think the possibilities are in this charitable line as far as public relations go. Okay, Riley and Freddie, are you ready for your report? You can sit up here in front, you can look at his ugly face. Yeah. There's two or three things I'd like to get into just briefly before we go into the PAC presentation. About the cerebral palsy telethon, Betty failed to tell you about all the obscene telephone calls she received. As a matter of fact, the whole panel received obscene telephone calls. The night of the cocktail party, we had a lot of good spirits furnished by Support Your Local Air Traffic Controller, Eastern Airlines, and we had a little free entertainment there. And I would like to thank Big Red for donating her services as a leg wrestler. We raised $32 for the PAC program. So I think she's And the third thing was the state PAC coordinator. I'd like to meet with those guys just a few minutes after we break. Well, I included her money in the program. For the past 2 years, we've been going through a process of developing an effective grassroots political action committee. The last year, we devoted most of our time and effort to the fundraising campaign and to the organization of the wide support groups. Most of our attempts have not been completely successful, but we have had certain advancements. Last year, a program was set up by the Federal Employees Credit Union here in Atlanta, similar to the one on the Western region. And this would allow our members to
donate to our PAC program, at the same time prepare for 1981 by building a savings program. The program is dragging its feet. Those members that elected not to participate in the program, which it was an entirely voluntary program, apparently have not elected to donate to the program and donate to PAC in any manner. We only have $40,000 in the PAC fund at this time. This is an election year. We're going to need money. And I think the fact that we only have $40,000 in our fund right now is one of the most crucial points that we need to address as far as 1981 is concerned. And I think as a result of all the statements that have been made at this seminar, you will see that without PAC, 1981 is going to fall on its ass. I don't care how strong we are. The importance of that PAC fund also, this is an election year. If we do not participate in the PAC fund, if we do not have wise support groups to work in election campaigns, in March of 1981, we're not going to be able to jog the memories of the Congress and the Senate when it comes time to negotiate a contract. We are not going to be negotiating with the FAA. We are going to be butting heads with the Congress and with the Senate. And the sooner we learn that, the sooner you guys get out and start talking to these people, let them know what you do, what you want, and what you will support for them, the better off we'll be, the better the 1981 road will be. It will be a lot easier. If we don't give the negotiating team and our National Executive Board something to work with, we're in bad shape. And I mean working. I mean united numbers, a healthy PAC fund, and plenty of wide support groups and a lot of PR. Those guys are going to have a real tough time up there. We're in the process of setting up a PAC program like we have here in Atlanta. In Jacksonville, Memphis program is just, I think, it's just about off the ground. They're working on it. It's going pretty good right now. Freddie is going to be working with the guys from Jacksonville and Memphis on that PAC program. It'll be very similar to the FECU credit union program that we have here. I'll be going down to Miami sometime around the middle of March to work on the program down there with the Miami credit union. And just to give you a little idea of how the program is dragging its feet, we have 66 members in the southern region out of 3,000 roughly members, PATCO members, that are participating in this program. And don't get me wrong, that does not mean that we've only had 66 members participate in the fundraising for the southern region. But I think that you can see the western region has had their PAC program going for quite a time. I would say the majority of the money that's in our PAC fund came from the western region. So if you only have 66 members that's participating in the PAC fund through the credit union now, somebody's not doing their job. I'm not doing mine, and you as facility reps are not doing yours. These projects, I mean, you know, we're not making them up just to be doing something. This is important stuff. We've got to get out there. We've got to get those guys to realize what's happening. We've got to get those guys and their wives to those congressmen's office. When it comes time to sit down at that negotiating table, and that guy is sitting there and he knows we've supplied him with 15 wives to work through his congressional election, and he got elected, it's going to be a lot easier for him to say, yeah, I'll give those guys a 30-hour work week than it would be if he had never seen us, if he don't even know us. Ron Palmer recently attended the facility rep school in Washington. While he was there, he decided that he would stop by and talk to his representative in Florida who voted yes for our second career retirement bill. He stopped in there, they got to talking, the guy said, I'm going to be perfectly frank with you, Ron. You guys did not do your homework. You guys did not do a good job. You did not have an effective grassroots lobbying campaign. He said if you'd have got off your ass, you could have got that bill passed. He also indicated to Ron that he had only just recently begun to understand the power that an air traffic controller has. He says it's amazing. He says, you guys you're not doing it right. You're not presenting yourselves. He says, you've got to get on the ball. And so you would think probably, well, he's just a congressman talking. It's time to come up get some more of our money. Well, he didn't get any of our money because we did not do our homework. Miami is probably one of the strongest areas as far as political action is concerned, Miami and the Tampa area. We didn't do our homework on this guy because we did not know that from age 5, this guy had lived in an ironwork union family. He lived, he ate, he smoked, he screwed union. That's all he was. And he told Ron that. He said, Ron, you guys have got to get off your butt and start getting out and doing the work. And that's what we've got to do. In the southern region, we had just about 20% of the congressmen in our region to vote yes on that bill. I'd like to see a show of hands of the number of facilities that went to those congressmen that voted no to find out why they voted no and what their problem was and why they couldn't vote that. Can I just see a supportive hand? That's pretty good. It's not good enough. We got to have more hands up. Not only that, you've got to go out and talk to that guy that voted for that bill, because that bill's going to come back up, and we're still going to have to have his support. And I think you can see the shenanigans that Congress can pull when they want to. But as a result of that little letter that Duncan and his cronies started passing around when they got ready to vote on that bill, we've got a lot of work to do. I don't want to sound like the gloom and doom, but I think we've got 13 or 14, 15 months at the most. And you can see that we've got a lot of work to do. And we might as well face up to the fact that no matter what you hear in the choir boy programs, the choir boy program is not going to be successful without PAC. It just boils right down to that. It's hand-in-hand, two-fist operation. And we're going to have to emphasize that. Whenever the choir boy programs are conducted, you've got to emphasize the importance of PAC. Now, we all know that there's no way in hell that we could initiate an ATC pay bill today and put it in Congress and get it passed before 1981 to prevent us from having to go out on strike. There's anybody in the room here that thinks that, we're in bad shape. There's no way we can do it. But we've got to have the support of those people sitting up there that we're going to be negotiating with. Those people have got to know us, and they're not going to know us unless we get out there and bring those people to the facilities. Let them see what we do. Take them out to lunch. Talk to them. Get to know their aides. Call them day in and day out. We should be able to make at least 5 or 6 visits to each congressional office in this region before we get ready to present that package to Congress and say, this is what we want. We've got to do it. It's imperative. If we don't, we will not be able to produce the money that we need. We will not be able to produce the wide support groups, and we will not have the numbers to stand up and be counted. Are there any questions? Mike?
Riley, what do you attribute our lack of success to on the signing up for the dues withholding in the credit union?
Well,
the major thing in my problem was that so many, I would say 60% of my membership already belonged to 2 credit unions.
That is a possibility. And I think that most of our problems would have been solved if we could have established a program with the FAA credit unions. But the FAA credit union would not even look at us. They would not even talk to us. So we had to go to other means. And throughout our travels in every one of the state PAC meetings, the people told us, yes, that's a good idea. As a matter of fact, I'd like to jog your memories. The seminar that we had, the last seminar that we had, I think it was up at the Hilton, we gave each and every facility rep that was assembled at that seminar a questionnaire to fill out that morning and return to us by noon that afternoon. We had 98% participation on filling out the questionnaire. One of the questions was, do you feel that your membership would participate in a PAC program with a credit union where the monies come out as payroll deductions or come out of that thing? The result was there was 39% participation, or there would be 39% participation throughout the southern region. We don't quite have 39% participation. So I think the fact that it is a credit union in one central area, and like the guys in Miami find it hard to work with that credit union, they may have too many 1198s or whatever it is out to go to another credit union. I think that those are the problems, and that's one of the reasons that we are trying to go to some of the larger areas and develop a credit union where it will be a little bit easier for those people to participate in those programs.
Well, the other thing we never did get, and I don't know if maybe they didn't make them available to us, was the personalized 1198. So all the guys had to do was sign the damn thing and automatic address to the FECU. Did they ever make those available to us?
I was under the impression that we sent out a letter with an instruction for each facility to find out how many people, how many 1198s you needed. The problem we run across, there was 2 things that happened. And maybe I better just get back a little bit on the PAC, on the presentation for the credit union. When we gave our presentation to the credit union, it was shortly after we had met with the manager of the credit union and the public relations officer of the credit union. At that time, there were certain things that the credit union was doing, and that's the way we briefed. One of them of which was, I think, the interest rate was 12% on the Visa card. Well, credit unions work just like any other business. Their board of directors got together, and because of the rise in interest rates, they had to raise their interest rates on the Visa card. So that was something that the people found out by second word of mouth, because we didn't have time to get out a letter stating that the interest rate had been raised before the guys started making their application to join the credit union. Another thing, those people were in the process of moving to a new office, and they had hired several new secretaries over there. And some of the people from out of the region was calling, not out of the region, but out of the Atlanta area, was calling up there trying to find out some information. Apparently they missed the presentation. Apparently they hadn't been briefed by their facilities. And a couple of the girls up there had put out some bad information. The information was that you had to have $100 in your account in order to make a loan. Also, at one point in time, we got some people, I think, that said they told them they had to deposit $50 at the time of their joining. This was information, it was bad information, and there was no way that we could help from being put out. So we came back and we tried to send a letter updating what was happening with the credit union. And basically, for anybody that does not understand, as a result, as of effective November the 1st of '79, the Board of Directors of the Federal Employees Credit Union said, whenever we have a new member join, he can go ahead and place a request for a loan at that time, but he'll have to be a member for 90 days before we can process the loan. Now, they don't just automatically say the loan is canceled or the loan is disapproved. What they do is they put that loan on the shelf, and they wait till the 90 days, and then it goes through the loan approval process. Also, they have a stickler in there that says you must have $50 in your account at the time of application. So if it's your intent to join the credit union today and put in a loan application, you're going to have to deposit $50. But that $50 does not have to stay in there, because they consider the day that you join, if that's the day that you put the application in for a loan, is the day that the loan was first applied for. So they'll go 90 days, and then they'll start processing your loan. And it doesn't matter whether you have $50 in there or not, whether you get your loan or not. You will still get the loan if you meet the criteria.
Honestly, all we got was your initial information on the credit union. Little handout. In addition, you can't make applications to Visa until you've been a member for 90 days.
Yeah. Okay, well that was, see, on the original briefing, you could join today and you could go ahead and process a Visa loan, Visa application, and they would approve it. And that's the information, the first information that we put out. But a few days later, while they were in the process of getting their computer bank, see, they just moved into a new headquarters. They've got a new computer, and as a matter of fact, that information that I gave you about the 66 members, Dave called over there last week, asked them to get the information for us, and they have just re-straightened their computer out this morning because of that information that Dave wanted. They put it in, and it blew the computer's mind. I mean, it just blew it, and it's been down all week long. They've been trying to figure out what it was. So we've cost them a lot of money, I'm sure, as far as computer time is concerned. But that's a problem that they have to face. They knew what we were looking for, and they agreed to do it. But yes, there was a change in information, and we tried to get most of the changes out to the facilities as far as how it stood. You did not get in 1198? Okay, how many people did not get 1198s and still need 1198s? Okay, if I get a supply of 1198s and send 10 or 15 to each facility, would that be enough to hold you for a time being? Okay, now let me tell you about the 1198, or whatever the number is. I get those things screwed up, but I'll send you the appropriate form. Number one, you give it to the member and let him fill it out. All right, when he fills it out, you send the whole thing. You can either send it back to Dave's office, or you can send it directly to the credit union at that address. You can send it in a bundle of 5, 10, or 15. Don't take any parts of it away. All right, what they're going to do is, for some stupid government regulation, they have to sign the thing before it goes to the Federal Payroll Department. So what they will do is they will sign it, and they will send it back to the address of the individual member. All right, it's that member's responsibility to take the yellow sheet, I think it is, it's the second sheet, and keep it as his records, and then take it to his payroll department in your facility, just whoever it is, the assistant chief or his secretary, whoever it is, and then they process it to the appropriate payroll department, wherever it goes, the FAA payroll department. And it'll probably take about 3 to 4 weeks to get the 1198 processed through the credit union, because they're running behind times. But then when you get it back, it'll probably take at least 2 paydays from the time that you turn it into the secretary before it will be effective and they'll start taking it out. The deductions will only be taken once a quarter, so you won't have to worry about money's coming out of your credit union account until the end of the quarter. Paul?
What about the service fee that the FAA charges for sending these things? Is that going through a month or somebody withdraws the minimum?
Service fee.
$2 a pay period that the FAA charge?
No, they don't charge, not on that
That's
one.
service fee for deducting dues. This is not a dues. This is a personal.
Wait a minute, they charge one for me on one that I take something out. 6 or 8 cents a check.
I'll have to check on that. I was not under the understanding that there was a service fee charged for a payroll deduction out of your paycheck to go to a bank, and that's basically what you're doing. George?
The financial institution, most financial institutions levy that. That's not the government. The government sends the check.
Well, I will have to find out about that. There was no indication made to us that they were going to levy any kind of funds just to process that thing. Yes.
I think at Memphis they're going to charge a small fee, but PAC's going to pick that fee up.
Okay. I think the statement was in Memphis they're going to charge a small fee and PAC's going to pick up the fee. In Jacksonville, right now, some of the basic things that we're going through is they're having a problem with computer cards, and they wanted us to furnish the computer cards. Also, they're going to charge us a $25 a quarter service fee. PATCO will take up that fee. Yeah, we'll pick up that fee. That won't come out of you. Larry?
Just really a question for Dave. In West Tennessee, we've got a local congressman there that's definitely anti-FAA stuff we're taking this year. We plan, a bunch of us that live in this district or next to this district, we're going to try to get it beat. Can we expect some monetary support from national?
What we do is you make the request to my office like we did the last time around. I run it through the national, and they have to give the final approval on it. And I'll return it back to you. 2 years ago wasn't any problem. I don't foresee any problem this time.
Sometime this week, go ahead.
Yeah, as we get closer to 81, isn't the FAA going to use this as kind of a hammer on us? If we're going to cut off your dues withholding, or we're going to cut off your payroll deductions going into the credit unions?
Well, that was addressed yesterday, and yes, I would fully anticipate, for instance, in Atlanta Center, we have our own little credit union office down there. As a matter of fact, they just recently appointed 2 scabs to serve as loan officers down there. Now, I don't think there's anybody in this room stupid enough to think that on January or February of 1981, they're going to go in there and apply for a loan and it's going to be approved, because you know damn good and well they're not going to approve it, and they're going to use some way to get out of approving it. So what you're going to have to keep in mind as far as an FAA credit union is concerned, that somewhere down the line there, you're going to have to start thinking about moving your finances from there to somewhere else before the possibility exists that they would clamp down on it. And knowing the government the way it works, I have no problem at all fantasizing that they're going to take my funds or close those doors down there, lock them up somehow. So that's going to be an individual decision that you're going to have to make as far as your finances are concerned.
Well, are we spinning our wheels a little bit?
No, we're not spinning our wheels right now, because we've got to do something. If you can go out there and get a $35 donation or whatever your donation is from each individual member, we don't have to worry with the credit union, but we can't do it. And we're just trying to come up with as many different easy ways that we can to raise those funds. We may be spending in the long run, but up until we've got a year to go. We've got 12, 13 months, and if we can generate funds that way, let's get them generated, and then we'll have to cross that bridge when we come to it.
The only thing that the FAA can stop is your union dues, providing that they get an enforcement out of the Department of Labor, the Federal Labor Relations Authority, that we're violating a certain part of Title 70 of the Service Reform Act, and we're penalized with some sort of suspension or a fine. That's when the union dues would stop. That's payroll deduction to the credit union out of your salary. Has nothing to do with union dues. Right?
Rather than, you don't have any particular problem with guys giving the individual cash contribution
No.
as opposed to coming on board with this plan. That plan was not received too terribly well at town.
Okay, we have no problem with that at all. The only reason we developed that plan is because the guys in the western region developed it, and it was received so well out there, we said, well, let's try to offer our membership in the southern region the same opportunity. In all of our state meetings, we asked the guys, what type of credit union do you have? Would you participate in the program, or would it be beneficial to have a program? The majority of the replies, matter of fact, it was almost unanimous, yes, that we think that's a good deal because the guy'd rather have a payroll deduction than have to go to him every 4 or 5 months for a $10 or $15 donation or a $10 or $15 check. We don't care how the funds come in. If the guys want to make their personal donations, that's okay. We don't have any problem with it. It's just the fact that the program is there, and we're trying to expand the program into more areas throughout the region where it would be more convenient if the guys want it. They do not have to participate, and we do not have any penalties as far as the credit union is concerned on the number of people that we do or don't have. There.
Just to give you some information on Memphis and our credit union going out there that we're setting up with, it's going to start in March, which is into the quarter. Most of our guys are going to get $5 a payday, which is a pretty good lick. And we won't get 100% support, probably. $5, we're going to make up for a lot of people that don't get.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Dennis.
I don't know, all this talk with the FAA credit union, I don't know how many people in here have money in the FAA credit union, but we ought to make a move sometime this year to dump on, to pull everything out from our ranks.
Well,
And it, let's supervisors and chiefs.
did everybody hear what he said?
I can't see what the big talk is worrying about the FAA credit union when we've got a number of credit unions to work with. From military ones, Veterans Administration credit unions, all of them take it. Just pull, what would the FAA credit union be without the controller money? Yank it all out and let the chiefs and supervisors support the rinky-dink place. It seems simple to me.
Those of you who didn't hear, Dennis said he couldn't see what all the hullabaloo was about talking about the FAA credit union. Said he felt that sometime during this year, we as the air traffic controllers should pull all of our funds out of the FAA credit union, and where would that leave the supervisors and the assistant chiefs? They would be hell-pressed to keep operating that FAA credit union, and I think it was just about everybody's consensus agreement there. Any other questions? Yeah. Any day. The demand is now. We have $40,000. There's election campaigns going on throughout the nation right now. There are congressmen and senators that we should have already given money to. We do not participate primarily in the primary elections. However, there are certain members of Congress who we feel and we know are going to be reelected, who have been very good friends to us, and we make exceptions in those cases to give them monetary donations during primary elections. But as a whole, we don't participate in primary elections. But we need that money in there now. We need it bad. Any other questions? That $40,000 is nationwide. In the regional distribution sometime this week, you'll be receiving 3 handouts. And I would like for the PAC reps to make sure that they get their hands on these things because they're important things. The first one is the 1980 Congressional Recess Schedule. You should post this on your bulletin board. Make sure that your members know when that congressman is going to be in his local area. And go see that guy. We've got to get these meetings started. If you don't do anything but just go down there and shoot the shit with him, go down there and talk to him, let him know you're an air traffic controller. The next one is the okay, how about holding it down? We'll go ahead and get through here in a hurry. Let's see. The next one is the Southern Region Political Almanac for 1980. That has the presidential primaries by state, and it has the nominating primaries by state. The third one you'll be receiving is the general election information, and it has information like deadline for registration, the deadline for Alabama, the primary date, the runoff primary date, and the presidential primary date, and all these dates can be changed subject to the state legislature. So make sure that you keep this information at hand and give it to your membership and disseminate it. Start making those meetings and start pushing that PAC program and get those wives organized. Thank you.
Thanks, Riley. Is Al Munoz here? I guess Al's not going to make it here. He had to pick up his wife at the hospital. He was going to give you a financial report. I think you heard some of the financial status of the organization yesterday. What I would like to present to you, though, is last March we established a subsistence fund for controllers that are members of our organization that join the subsistence fund to get payment out of the fund for any suspensions or dismissals that they might get if they were involved in a system error or accident or a system deviation. Let me give you where we are as of February the 15th. As you recall, we established the annual dues of $13 a year. If they didn't join by a certain time period, or when a new member joins PAC, they didn't pay the $13 in the subsistence fund within 30 days of joining, you'd have to pay a $25 initiation fee in excess of the $13. We had 1,530 members join the fund. 1,530 members, that's about 52-53% of our membership in this region. We took out a $12,000 6-month certificate, about 9.5% in June. We also put $5,000 into a savings account, and the rest went into a checking account. We collected through the initiation fee and through the $13, and you're going to get a handout on this, $20,650. With the interest that we accumulated on the 6-month note, that was $581. On interest in the passbook account of $5,000, about $69. So in income, we had $21,299 as of February the 15th. The expenses that we had the general check expense. That was minimal, like $17. We returned checks that bounced. We had $259 in checks that bounced. There was some overpayment. Some members paid too much money into the fund. That was $8. We reimbursed them. And we had 2 controllers suspended. Ted Peel in Memphis Tower for 15 days, and Harry Gott out of Miami Tower for 10 days. Now, we went to arbitration on Ted Peel and Harry Gart. We won both cases. As soon as they get that check back, they will reimburse their net amount after the FA takes out their payroll deduction, the retirement, and the other deductions that they have. They will reimburse that amount back to the fund. As of February 15th, our total assets were $18,743. Now, we took out, after the 6-month note matured, we took out another 6-month note at 11.5% interest with $12,651.581. So that's working for us now. Plus, we have about $5,000 in the savings and about $1,100 in the checking. What it boils down to, so I've got a handout on it here. I don't think it's going to be any problem passing it here. Well, we'll be in we will be able to pass this amendment to the subsistence fund bylaws. I think you will support it unanimously. I don't see a need to collect the $13 this year. We're operating now, since we won the 2 cases, on a profit. So my amendment to our bylaws to Article 2, Section A is this. Dues for the period 1 May 1980 through 30 April 1981 shall not be assessed unless absolutely necessary, as deemed by the Oversight Committee. Will all facility reps in attendance that favor that amendment please raise their hands? Any opposed? You don't have to collect the $13 this year. Yes. Yeah. Are there any questions on the fund at all? Yeah, it's right up there, I believe.
We'll work it out between you and Sid Jones and I'll get up there.
Yes.
My only commitment right now is I have to go to the one.
Now, this is a pretty good cause here. Okay, John White, are you here? Okay. Yes? Would everybody please hold down the noise here?
Quick unrelated question. Our tackle health insurance, do you know how many people nationwide join that?
No, Prudential has that figure, and they haven't got it over to Bob yet. I don't know what the figure is on the Prudential program yet.
I heard it was not very.
From the feedback that I got from facility reps, I heard that it didn't go over too well either. But I don't have the final tally on it. Perry?
I was in Washington last week, and up to date, 750 members.
Okay.
Nationwide?
Nationwide.
How many?
750.
I can't hear what Bill said.
Let's hold down the questions now. Let's get on with the Constitution report, and we'll get into questions and answers when John gets done.
The Constitution Committee met January 29th and 30th in Chicago and went over all the amendments that were submitted. This is what came out of committee. If any of you, I don't know if any of you have your amendments. They were mailed out last week. I don't know if you got them before you got here or not. First one is, if you have your national constitution with you at all, it's under Article 1, Section 2. Whereas state and or area locals are in effect in various areas of the country, whereas state and or area locals are not formally recognized in the Constitution, add to Article 1, Section 2 definitions, subparagraph F. The words state local or area local, when used herein, refer to those locals that consist of all or part of these terminal facilities within a terminal voting area. Rationale on it is state and or area locals are in effect and advantageous in certain areas of the country. This change would formally recognize them in the Constitution. Period. Under Article 2, National Officers, Section 4, Powers and Duties of Officers, add to the end of the paragraph this sentence. A majority of the Executive Board can effect the removal of any person hired by the organization if, in their opinion, the individual's actions are decided to be contrary to the best interests of the Union. Rationale: this amendment puts the responsibility on the Executive Board to act if the actions of any employee of the organization is not in line with the best interests of the membership. By the way, all these were weighted votes as was voted in the resolution at the 79 convention. Every vote taken was a weighted vote, 1 for 1. Under Article 9, voting representatives and voting procedures, under Section 2, terminal facilities. Instead of reading the whole thing, I'm just going to tell you what was put in and what was taken out. Insert in line 6, after the convention year, a new sentence. This is talking about the election of the voting reps for each terminal area. In the event less than 2 names are put in nomination, write-in candidates shall be authorized. That sentence was not in there at all. And these are just coming out of committee for your approval. They're not amendments now. It's just ones that got out from the committee, and we'll have them up on the convention floor for approval. And you would delete the sentence in the line 11. In the event only one name is put in nomination, the candidate will then become the voting representative and there will be no alternate. This change would help eliminate the possibility that the terminal area would not be represented because of the lack of declared candidates. The deleted sentence just becomes invalid. And in the event this amendment is passed, in Article 6, Section 3 of the local constitution, under terminal and unique facilities, the sentence beginning with nominee and ending with nominee would also be deleted. Under Article 10, committees, Section 1, standing committee, paragraph D. Under the committee, agreed to delete the following from the resolution entitled National News. Under the 77th Convention Resolution, where it states, be it further resolved that the above funds shall be distributed as follows. And it was 75% to national, 10% to youth rebate, 15% to control benefit funds. And there was a resolution passed in the 79 convention that overrode it, so therefore we deleted it. And the committee also agreed to eliminate the resolution dues rebate as it is also covered under the 1979 resolution. Any questions? Good.
You know, that's the one job that I'm going to take that
Okay, 2 items, and I'll open up for questions and answers. We won't have a safety report because John Allen had to, I think, provide some testimony on an aircraft accident he was involved in a number of years ago, but he couldn't make it here. Room authorization slips. If you're certifying to receive payment on your room from PAC, you'll need a slip when you check out. So please see Pam back there and pick up a slip. The other thing is I sent out a memo about a month ago. As you know, about 4 or 5 years ago, we started a regional fund. Every year we ask for a certain amount of donations from each facility local to help fund the level 1, 2, and 3 terminals to convention. And we've been successful in the past on raising the money. We've been able to provide somewhere between $150 to $180, $190 a year to each terminal, level 1, 2, or 3 that want to go to the convention because they have a limited amount of resources. Since the memorandum, I've only received a few $100s. I know all of you received it, and I would appreciate it if you would make that contribution, and including the small facilities, the level 1s and 2s and 3s, because I'm not receiving your contributions either, to help yourselves out. And if you want the funding, or whether you're going to the convention or not, let's get the money available for those that want to go and help them out, because it is going to be expensive out there. So if you go back, when you go back home, please write a check for what the voluntary assessment is. Let's try to get the money in quickly so I can analyze how much we have, solicit the facilities that want to go to the convention, and make disbursements within a reasonable amount of time before April 20th. So I would seek your cooperation in that particular area. Yes, I will send out a letter to you wanting to know whether you're going to want assistance going to the convention like I did last year. Okay, apparently when I've been out of town, that's already gone out to you recently. Okay. Mike?
Yeah, I've got 19 guys going to the convention. I only have enough money for 18. Am I eligible for that fund?
No.
We'll take care of you, Mike.
Okay, before we open the questions and answers, that's holding up a sign here. He needs to talk to you.
All right, now, this won't take too long.
Good.
Some of you may have seen a letter addressed to all facility representatives in the last national newsletter about the convention book advertising. If you didn't see it, and it was somewhat overshadowed, please read it when you return to your facilities. I brought about 50 copies of the letter here. Most of them have gone already. There's only maybe 5 or 6 left. The convention book editor called me approximately 2 months ago and says, Ron, we need some help with convention book advertising. She requested that myself and Kevin Kempton, who was one of the co-chairmen for this year's convention in Vegas, be the advertising coordinators for this year's 1980 issue. Some of you may already know that this convention book is a pretty good vehicle to get your message across. about how your facility and how your membership feels about 1981. Kevin and I have suggested in this letter, gotten together and suggested some of the things that we can do to pull ourselves together. And I'll just read you just 3 of the suggestions that we have in here. Level 5 terminals and centers in the same geographical location share the cost of a 2-page spread. Each local would save $20 that would have been spent on a full-page ad, which normally those level of facilities do buy. Level 4 terminals and adjacent centers should share the cost of a full-page ad. Each local would save $120 this way. And level 3, 2, and 1 facilities in the same terminal area should share the cost of a full or half-page ad. Now, a real good example is on the back cover of last year's convention book about what we're talking about here. Now, I've got 4. And something that I might get over my head in with us approaching 81 so quickly, and I've got other duties that I've got to do and all. But I saw the possibility here to tear down a wall. And that wall exists primarily between the terminals and the centers. Now, we are very fond of the term center puke and tower puke. I don't want to hear that anymore. I don't want to hear the term anymore. Okay? I don't want to hear that. It doesn't take much effort or much time. We don't have very much time. March 17th is the cutoff. What I want the facility representatives to do is take the initiative here. Call the representative and your neighbor, and one or the other be the sponsor for the advertisement. All you've got to do is say, look, send me your fair share. Our local will write the check out for the whole amount. To give you an example, San Juan, call St. Thomas, call Ponce, say, hey, let's get together on a thing. This is what we think your fair share would be. Have the input come from the membership. You don't have to do it all by yourself unless one of the facility reps says you got the whole ball. Then take it and run with it. Make up the advertisement yourself. The advertisement on the back of that book didn't reflect directly to 1981, but that's what I would like some of the messages to do. All right? Now, see what else I got here. Give the project, if you don't have time enough to do it yourself, give the project to an energetic member or local officer. They can either do the layout themselves, which is fun to do, believe it or not, or the convention book editor can do it for them. It's local money that's very well spent. Last year, 7 outside advertisers bought advertisements for the convention book to help offset. They didn't have anything to do with PATCO. Okay, they were aviation-related industry. 10 locals bought advertisements in there. So I think that we can make up the difference throughout the southern region just on our locals alone. Remember that there won't be any outside advertising in this book. This is the year of the controller, that there won't be any outside advertising, so we'll have to do it on our own. I did bring also with me a very limited amount of contracts, advertising contracts. They're gone already. I only had 10 or 12 copies that I could give out. 2 issues ago in the national newsletter, there's a copy of that contract. So when you go back, just research through your files and you can take and pull that out of there. And the last newsletter was the facility letter that I addressed that Kevin and I sent out to the facility representatives. So that's 2 newsletters we're talking about. The contract was not in the last issue. To wrap up this business, Kevin Kempton, my cohort in this adventure, he thinks that the western region is going to buy more local advertisements than the southern region is. Well, we'll see. We'll see, okay? I think we can do a lot better than the west. One other thing. I had numerous requests from people that came up and asked me when the golf tournament was going to be and where it was going to be. It will be in November this year. November 10th, 11th, 12th, and 13th. 10th is the night of the hospitality. 11th is the first day of the tournament at Rolling Hills Country Club in Fort Lauderdale. Okay? That's November 10th, 11th, 12th, and 13th. So write that down and get it back to your golf members. I'll see you in Las Vegas. We're going to kill them.
One other item, then I'll open it up. I've been given another assignment in PATCO. And you'll be reading about me, or when you phone in the office, you'll hear sometimes that I'm in London, I'm in Paris, maybe in Germany, or places like that. I'm going to take over a portion of Bob Meyer's responsibilities that he had in dealing with some of the international aviation groups. Basically, I'll be dealing with what they call the International Transport Federation. And this country, through the AFL-CIO, is represented on that international body. And we represent the United States controllers on that group. Other groups on that body is the flight attendants, ground crews, ALPA, and so forth, flight engineers and so forth. Now, the funds that I'm traveling on doesn't come from PACCO. It's funded by MEVA. So it's not any extra strain on our budget or the membership's dues. MEVA belongs to that body. They represent the body, this country, on the maritime interest, and we get funded through them on the aviation interest. So when you hear about me traveling to these exotic places, that's the reason why. Yes, you can be my hands-off man. I'll open up to questions and answers. And if you want to wait until we close, I'll be available over here.
I said you got close.
Yes. Okay, question is how soon before we'll have more information on life insurance? Those brochures should be going out pretty soon. There has been a delay in getting some of the information out to you because of the traveling that Bob 1 and Bob 2 have been doing for the last month. So it'll go out shortly as soon as they get back into the office. Timetable for the questionnaires on the choir boy programs. The next questionnaire will go out sometime immediately following the convention. As far as the subsequent ones after that, I don't know at this time, John. Bill? Membership cards for the health insurance program. They are supposed to be mailed out by Prudential. They're supposed to be mailed out with a membership packet. I would have thought that you would have received it by now. Obviously you haven't, and I'll try to follow up on that next week.
Hey, Dave.
Yeah. Go ahead, Steve.
Has anything been said about the immunity arbitration yet?
We have received no word from the arbitrator on the arbitration case on immunity. The other thing that Betty just reminded me on is time to start filing your LM forms and your 990 forms. What we would like to do is Betty will mail out some instructions very shortly. You return the forms like you always have in the past to my office, and then we'll forward them to the Department of Labor and Internal Revenue. Yes, we will send out the 990s. Question is, where can we get a billy goat?
We got one named Langhorn.
Kathy? There's a separate address form? Okay. Okay.
He was heading toward the bar about 15 minutes ago.
I don't know how long he's staying, Ted.
This flight leaves at 3.
All right. Somebody said he was on his way to the lounge or someplace like that. Any other questions? Yes, Bill?
That's my new fix, brother.
I'll put that. Anything else? I want to thank everyone for their cooperation during the last 2 months. I don't think it's been an easy period of time for any one of us that's actively involved in the union. There were a lot of serious questions that the membership had and you had. on what happened. I think there has been, since then, as much as possible, a full explanation of why things occurred and how they happened and where we are now. I look forward during the next few months, before we get to the convention, that we can continue with making the progress that we have in spite of what did happen. I don't think that it's deterred us that much on our choir boy program or the other business of the union. And without your cooperation, I don't think it could have been done. And I really appreciate that. I also feel confident, as Bob and George and Tom and Bob Meyer indicated yesterday, that after the convention, they all will support each other, and we will close the ranks, and we will continue forward after the convention. I do feel, though, that between now and the convention, there are going to still be politics played. That's going to be obvious. That's going to be a fact of life. All of us, whether we like it or not, have to accept that and live with it and see it through. I feel we will be a stronger organization. We will be better. We always profit from our history. We profit from any mistakes we make. We profit from our victories. I think the same thing will happen this time. So I look forward to seeing you at the convention. You'll have a good trip home. Thank you.
You gotta go check out first, right?
He's got a plan.
You gotta go check out first, right?
Yeah.
And we're waiting for an answer from the FLLR, which we expect shortly. If you have what you think to be a ULP, coordinate all ULPs with your area rep or Tim Benicosa or Don Kovacs. FAM trips. The FAA is proposing to amend our current FAM trip program, and it appears to make it more difficult for you to take duty FAMs by restricting your times that you can take the FAM, in addition to restricting the allotted duty time allowed for each FAM. All members are encouraged to submit your ideas on the proposed changes to your area reps so that we can provide this information with Tim prior to Saturday, February the 16th. Area relationships. The West area, East area, and Northeast area have laid the groundwork for a good working relationship with our prospective assistant chiefs. The South area, North area, Southwest area are encouraged to get started. The area rep should be contacting the appropriate assistant chief and try to establish a working relationship to improve working conditions in your area. If you have any problems getting your assistant chief to sit down and listen to your problems, see Tim Benicosa or Don Kovacs for help. Al Munoz attended the recent Eastern Region seminar held February the 6th, 7th, and 8th in Boston. He reported to the local board the information that he gathered at that meeting after discussion with the Eastern area region representatives and controllers about upcoming events. He submitted to the local board a bill of approximately $80 for his expenses at this seminar, and the board voted to reimburse Al Munoz for this bill by a vote of 6-2. The Southern Region Subsistence SUBSISTENCE Fund comes up for renewable and monies in May of 1980. We presently have approximately $13,000 in the fund, and Al Munoz is presenting an amendment to the dues structure of the fund that reads Section A1, dues for the period 1 May 1980 through 30 April 1981 shall not be assessed unless absolutely necessary as deemed by the Oversight Committee. This will come up for a vote at the upcoming area seminar. Advise your area reps whether you want to contribute an additional $13 to the fund, or if you want the above amendment to pass and not collect any more money from the members until the Oversight Committee deems necessary. Be sure and voice your opinion to your area rep prior to the convention. The Southern Region Seminar. The Southern Region Seminar will be held February the 19th and 20th with a cocktail party hosted by Eastern Airlines on February the 18th from 6 till 8 p.m. Everyone is encouraged to attend the upcoming seminar to have your questions answered and to find more information. Team and area reps and people considered to be area coordinators should make special effort to attend the upcoming seminar due to the vital information that will be disseminated at this meeting. Chuck March of the Benefits Committee is working on a local survey to determine the wishes of the membership and what type of benefits they would like to receive. If you have any ideas, be sure and let Chuck know what needs to be on the form, and also if you would like to help, I'm sure Chuck would appreciate some help on this committee.
Just a family affair is going to do it much cheaper than any road together.
Is there a possibility we could just use the capital letters PACCO this year and work on finding someone that would maybe make us a PACCO template to where we could take it to anybody that would make it next year?
No,
Let them use it.
They're not going to do that.
Well, in the meantime, maybe we could look on finding a machine of our own cheaper somewhere. Maybe buy it from somebody that already has one, or as for me, you can eliminate my name tag. I've had one, but
My guess is that nobody would even recognize the difference between PATCO and the logo on it.
I don't think it would either.
I think we'll go with the.
Might get it without the logo, just PATCO.
I think we ought to set a maximum price too, and how much you're gonna pay.
I think this year would be best to just go without the logo.
That'd be unfair to Joe to send him out and say, this is the max you can spend. He may not
Yes.
want to be able to find that. I mean, you got to give the guy the option to say, get what you can, get the lowest you can.
$300 sounds an awful lot of money for
This is
name tags.
Falcon Field is in Peachtree City.
Around there, yeah.
Why don't we get somebody who lives in Peachtree City to go out? Joe don't live in Peachtree City. In other words, why should he have to go all the way to Peachtree City if one of our board members lives in Peachtree City?
Good thinking.
Well, there is such a thing right now. We got 2 board members living in Peachtree City, as a matter of fact. There is such a thing as priorities as far as responsibilities go. Now, it's Joe's job to do that. Now, if it costs him gas and
A phone
money,
call will do it. A phone call will do it. I'll get you the name. And if it needs be, physically go there, I'll go there.
if it costs him gas, money, and time, yeah, we can take a look at that. However, Joe's willing to do it. There's no problem with that.
I mean, as far as the physical appearance goes, it looks like since we're a board and we're supposed to work together, why not somebody that lives in Peachtree City go out there and talk to them?
Well, that looks good on paper, and in this case, it'd be okay, but all the time, it's not good.
All the time it's not
I will
possible.
go. Yeah, get on there. I'll get them the name, let them make the phone
Well,
call,
all
and
the
if the
time,
guy
I'm
says,
sure
I
it's
want
not
to talk, then I'll
possible.
go on.
In this case, I think it would be possible.
Okay. Anybody that has to have the PACCO logo on there, raise your hand. Okay, we'll go without the logo. Just put PATCO on top, and we'll direct the secretary to get the name tags as soon as possible, as cheap as possible, and coordinate it with the vice president and the treasurer to pay for it, all
I want to
right?
bypass the scats doing.
I still think we ought to have a ceiling on the cost. You can't say you go down there and find, well, $1,000, see if you can get it, go out and pay $1,000 for name tags.
He's not going to go on.
He's not going to do
I'm
that.
not going to go out and do that. I turned down overtime to come here today. I mean, you know, I'm kind of dedicated. I'm not going to go out and spend money.
I
Right?
turned down overtime just recently on that last thing. Why
It's
we
a good
going
deal.
to-
George,
It's a
we're
big deal. We're not discussing
separating our
that.
frequency wing for the, we're separating traffic wing for the frequency squad, what we're doing.
That's
I think
our
Joe
conversation.
has enough, knowledge of the situation to know he's getting screwed or not. If he's getting screwed, he's gonna come back to us, right?
What, does he consider $320 being screwed?
He just said he did.
Okay. We'll see what he comes back to.
This spends
Okay.
too much, we beat the shit out of him next meeting.
It's all right.
Take his tie and choke.
Just don't muss my hair.
Is that settled? You got anything else, Joe? Okay. Treasurer?
Since this present board took office in July, we have spent about $3,500. Of the $3,500, 1,000 of it was for 2 initiation fees. So we actually have spent $2,500 since July, which is 2 months. So we have to give serious consideration of any expenditures that we're going to go into. Because we don't want to go over our head. Each of you has the proposed budget which I prepared. And this budget, although it does not include the new members that are coming in and giving the $500, and I understand we have about 5 now, which is about $2,500. It takes about a month or 2 months for the money to be rerouted through Washington and back to our local. The other thing that I would like to say on the treasury is that our Christmas party is coming up, and someone mentioned to me the other day that we should give serious consideration to that ticket price that we installed of $17.50, because it might not have as much participation as we anticipated, and if it doesn't, remember that the local is going to have to empty up the money. The other area which I'm responsible for is the newsletter. The newsletter coming out in December is going to be the last of the goody goodies, referring to a very complacent attitude. As of February, the newsletter is going to begin a program of creating animosity with management. And inside of that spectrum, I am going to ask each area rep to elaborate a little bit on the presentation which they did tonight and put it on a piece of paper and submit it to me so that I might include in the future issues of the newsletter what is going on in the facility, since we might know what's happening now inside our board a little bit better than we did on previous boards, but still it has to get to the membership, and I'm going to use the newsletter to get to that membership using the area reports. I also have asked Faye, who's present over here, to help me in the newsletter for the simple reason that if anything happens to me for any reason, nobody knows anything about the newsletter. Nobody knows exactly what and where and how, and I believe that we should be cultivating a replacement. And in conversation with Faye, she has agreed to work with me on it. I also would like to find out what happened to the rest of the area meetings that we were going to have and the team rep meetings that we were going to have. Not to point any finger at anybody, but one of the purposes of the organization that we have now, one of the priorities is to promote unity. And I think that our president advised us on previous meetings that we were going to definitely do it. And as far as I know, we might have had isolated area meetings, but it's about time that we group area meetings. The initiation fees for new members, Mr. Schamberger indicated to me the other day that there was a member that was indicating to join and he wanted, instead of the 12 months, he wanted over 12 months to pay his initiation fee. I understand that we have a resolution that says that not only is the initiation fee supposed to be paid in 1 year, but it's supposed to be paid off in 20 installments. This brings up another part concerning the treasury. So far, we have not taken any member and said, yes, you are liable to pay off in 20 installments. Our president indicated to a member that yes, as long as it's paid within the year, we'll go with it. And this particular member has not paid any of the 20 installments, but he has indicated that he intends to pay by the end of the year. And I drafted and I gave him a letter, and I gave the area rep a letter, and I gave our president a letter, indicating to him in a very, very nice way, don't forget that you have $500 coming to us, and time is running short. I want to address myself also to what our president indicated concerning the critical look at our board. He indicated a disagreement with one of the paragraphs concerning constant communications. And in this particular area, I think that we're very, very, very poor. One of the examples would be Brother Smith's uninformed situation concerning the call-in overtime on a midnight. He didn't know about it. There's no reason why any member of this board does not know something like that. And if a member of this board does not know something like that, that means that somewhere along the line we have dropped the ball. I think that we ought to have at least one meeting every month of this board to kind of review what we have been doing and kind of search in our mind for what we're going to be doing in the future. This board has really not set any goals for itself. What do we want to do in the next 6 months? We have a couple of recommendations that came up tonight. One of them was identification of members. Another one was taking some sort of action against scabs. And another one was a membership drive that we should have. That should go in together. We have to sit down and create some goals for us. The last thing that I'd like to bring up is, what is the condition of the AFL-CIO participation that we have? We have 5 delegated individuals to the AFL-CIO. At the present time, I have been the only one that has been there at all the meetings. I don't want to put any halo on my head, but I believe that if anyone is in the AFL-CIO right now and is supposed to be a delegate to these meetings, if the person cannot do it for one reason or another, then the person should so indicate. And we ought to canvass maybe some other replacement that is able to take the time and the energy to attend these FAL-CIO meetings. I passed around a presentation which I gave last night at the FAL-CIO meeting concerning PACO, and I had a response from one of the delegates there concerned that deals with steel workers, and I am going to send to him PACO propaganda so that he might make a presentation at one of his union meetings. One last thing. The other day I was very, very privileged to sit on a conversation in the restaurant, in the cafeteria, concerning issues in our local. And one of our officers at the time entered into a heated debate with me concerning the situation. And I also refrain from speaking in front of membership whenever there's a dispute or any disagreement. And I believe that we have to isolate our skirmishes. Today we're going to have a nice session where we're going to sit and have bitches and gripes. We're going to have a chance to call each other assholes. And I expect that it just ends right there and we don't carry on into the facility or the cafeteria. That's all.
Vice President.
Under labor practice. We're still waiting on a response from Foot about on the ULP concerning the coalition and the FAA. We're still waiting on a response about various curriculum through ULP. Foster's researching the possibility of filing an unfair labor practice because FAA has granted an office to the Federal Credit Union and not PATCO. We've already researched. And
Betting day, say no way.
close it.
Betting day.
Scratch some of the thread. The NASA Immunity Program, everything is going to be as it is until we arbitrate it in October. If we lose the arbitration, which we probably will, we'll appeal it. And there's every reason to believe that we'll lose the appeal because we've never won one yet. Fixing rotating days off. Rotating wins. It must go back to the balloting committee to figure out how we're going to rotate. Forward, backward,
Sideways.
length of time, 2-2-1, whatever it may be. So the area reps should solicit again from their area on whether or not they have people that would like to assist the balloting committee so that the board does not experience any type of bad repercussions about not having any input into what's on the next ballot. If fixed days off wins, everything should be as it is.
Who is the chairman of the ballot committee?
Bob Wright. He's replaced Paul Holmes. Holmes is only in charge of the membership portion of it now.
What do you mean as it is now?
Well, we're voting under the same conditions. If fixed days off wins, we'll proceed and choose teams as we did before, identical. Everything's the same, no change. And if anybody isn't aware of those changes, they can look in the minutes in the top file, and they're all in there. The Christmas party. As Al brought up before, we're in very serious trouble with the Christmas party. I've talked to the people on the Special Activities Committee, and they feel that participation is going to be very poor because of the $17.50 per ticket. The only way we can get around this is to legally vote on this board. We can make any ticket price that we want. Keep in mind, if you do that,
Would you like any more coffee?
Yeah, I ordered some about 45 minutes ago. Please.
if the board elects to revote and we do something with the price, and my guess is if we would drop the ticket price, we may be hurting ourselves in the long run because of the fact that you're telling people to come to general membership meetings so they can set policy, and if we don't like the policy, we're going to change it. So my suggestion is, I think the area reps ought to go out and canvass their area by team, find out who intends to come to this party. If we don't have enough to at least carry our own weight, then we should very seriously consider revoting, credibility or not. This local cannot survive a $3,000 deficit. That should be done as soon as you possibly can. Whenever you get the results, get it back to me, because everything's been set with the plaza. We are legally bound to have that party at this time. There is no way we can get out of it.
I think you have a very good idea on that. And I'd like to be able to put a time limit on it when you want to do the response. You want it 10 days, 2
Well,
months?
that's up to the area reps. Whatever you guys, what should it be this time?
Well, that's-
3 months?
I don't want to get to the bitch and gripe session, but that's one of our problems now. So we're going to do it, say, well, okay, we'll get to it later.
I give time limits and they don't work.
Hold it,
Hey.
hold it. Let's not get a bitch and gripe.
Well, we're not getting
We want
bitch
time
and
limits
gripe.
on it? Put
2
time
weeks.
limits on it.
2 weeks?
Now, what are we putting time limits on? I was gone.
Reiterating what Al brought up about the Christmas party. I talked to the people on the Special Activities Committee, and they feel that we stand a very good chance of losing money, a lot of money, because of the $17.50 ticket price. The board can legally revote and do anything we want with the ticket price, and per se say screw the membership vote at the general membership meeting. However, if the board likes to do that, then maybe destroying the credibility and integrity of the board at the general membership meeting. You're trying to promote attendance, and then you get the attendance and ask for a vote, and you come back 4 months later and say, screw it, things haven't worked out, we're going to change it anyway. So I'm saying have the area reps canvass the teams, see how many people we can have. If there's an indication that we may have a substantial loss, then we're going to have to reconsider the position of the board, integrity or not. $3,000 would kill us. Right, Al, around that time?
Yes, sir. Is this open for discussion or any bit at all? I think to take this back to the membership and ask them all over again is stupid.
We're not taking it back.
No, I mean asking them if they, how they feel about it. Whether they're coming or whether they're not coming, or this sort of shit. From a, just a small personal standpoint, I think I bitched about 15 minutes on 1750 being too much, and this board said 1750 is what we need.
Correct.
And me and I think one or two other people said that you cannot depend on 100 people paying 1750 when you can get 200 paying 12 or something like that. I think to take it back is stupid. I think we take a loss, we just take a loss, and I hate it just as bad as anybody else does. But it's just not right. Now, the membership, we held a vote for it. The membership voted 1750, and this very board said 1750. Now, granted, I still feel 1750 is far too much. This board voted 1750. The membership voted 1750. I think it ought to stay 1750. If we lose the money, then I hate it. I really do. I know what it does to us. But it's just, I don't think it's right to go back and say, are you planning on coming? If not, we'll lower the price, if you'll come. I don't believe that's right.
I have some comments on that, but I'll reserve until later. All right, Joe?
I was there too, and it seems to me like the majority of us wanted this Christmas party to be more or less self-sufficient. And how we come about it, the ticket price is really Moxnex at this time. We took a majority vote, that's how we have to do things, and we come up with $17.50. If we don't make it this year, I believe one statement I seen, Al, correct me if I'm not wrong, Al, how much do you have out for the Christmas party? To like a total budget for the year? Didn't?
1 second. The budget indicated that.
It's going to cost about $6,300. Total.
Yeah, okay. I mean, but what I'm saying is Al had put down, in other words, in this year's budget there was a loss involved in a Christmas party, what we were looking at.
I actually had for miscellaneous, which would be something in the agenda of the Christmas party, $1,000.
Okay, well, at some point I thought there was $3,000
No,
inside
that's
for
what,
the.
that was what we could lose
And survive.
and keep our heads.
All right. Well, anyway, the only comment I have on it is that if we don't do it, I mean, if we don't make it in this Christmas party, it's not going to be financial ruin. We can work our way out of it.
That's correct.
But I think that it's going to be the end of the Christmas party, and that's what the membership has showed us, is that the majority came to that meeting and said it's going to be self-supporting or we don't want it. We mathematically showed them how it's got to be self-supporting in a figure of $17.50 a ticket
If 300 people show up.
if 300 people show up, right? Okay, so if nobody shows, then it's the end of the Christmas party. And I think that's where we should be. I think if we go back and we start asking them whether or not, well, are you going to come? And then say, well, if you won't come, we're going to go to 15.
Don't tell them that. They never won't come.
Well, that's exactly what I'm saying. I mean, this is we're selling an idea to the membership. That's what we're doing every day. And if they don't come at $17.50, then by God, we know where the membership stands, and we don't have to worry about this anymore.
Okay. Anybody else got anything on that?
I essentially agree with Joe. The membership showed when I want self-sufficient. The only way you're going to have it self-sufficient is if the ticket price pays for it. I don't think you're going to have an appreciable less at that price that you would at $15.
Okay.
Right, so that the extra money you're going to be paying for it is going to make a difference when it comes down to paying the bills afterwards.
And basically, we're going to be able to make a decision on this year's Christmas party, whether there's going to be one or not afterwards. Because, I mean, this day and time, I mean, you don't go to a bar and ask for Jack Daniels and expect to pay $1.25.
Okay, let's talk back and forth now. Don?
Yeah. Talk a little bit more.
Other Don.
Oh.
You talked once, let him talk, then I'll get
Well,
back.
that's my item.
I know it, but you get something relevant to what Joe said?
Yes.
Joe, okay, go ahead.
First of all, the sport does not have the right to say whether there's going to be a Christmas party next year. That's the membership's right. All I'm saying is now it's time to assess the membership. If it looks like we're going to have weak participation, maybe we can take it back to the special activities committee and say, look, you're going to have to come up with a gimmick to draw more people or something. Or it'll be a good indication to the area reps to say you're going to have to do some type of promo thing to get this thing going. But to just sit back here on our asses because the membership says it's $17.50 is a mistake. If the membership votes to strike and we know that it's wrong to strike, we're not going to let them strike, for Christ's sakes.
It'd be hard for us to stop them.
It'd take 360 people to get $6,300. We need to find out right now the participation and decide.
Certainly a very good idea to find out what participation we can expect.
That's all I'm saying.
It's always a good idea to know what's coming up, right?
I don't think we're gonna trouble finding 360 people.
Oh, yes, we will.
You're
Just
talking
your-
now 360 people, not couples, right?
180 couples.
Now, are we eliminating the tower this year?
Me neither. All I'm saying is canvass the teams and find out what's going on.
Are we eliminating the tower this year?
Huh?
Are we eliminating the tower this year?
No.
All right. Not near as many cheap
Okay.
rednecks up here.
Done.
So.
Okay, first of all, when you take the survey, you don't go to people and say you're going to come for $17.50 or will you come for $15?
That's right.
You just find out whether or not they plan to attend the Christmas party.
Right.
That's what
That's
you
right.
want to know at the present price, of course. And the other thing is, sitting on your head, you're saying you don't know this should be the end of the Christmas party because we lower the prices. Here's the resolution that was brought up and agreed to postpone until January 1 to see the results of this Christmas party to cease Christmas parties.
That's not correct.
Don't go into that pretense because that can be changed in a microsecond by any one of us here or anybody in the floor as long as they've got
All right.
intelligence to stick around with the formalities of changing that resolution.
My turn.
I'm not done.
Yeah,
Are you talking
well,
about Christmas party?
Christmas party, okay. All right. Everybody on this board has been apprised of the way I feel about it. Okay? I don't think there's any necessity to reiterate that. This board does not have the right to say whether this local is having a Christmas party or not. That is up to the membership. The only thing this board has the right to do is offer the membership a Christmas party at such and such an amount, or propose such and such an amount, and then, as past practice dictates, have them set ticket prices for whatever they want. Now, the board meeting that this was discussed at the Sheraton, I believe it was the Sheraton, the board, in a majority vote, said that they would go along with $17.50 for ticket prices. The membership, in their vote, after much discussion and dissension, I might add, upheld that board decision. Now, for us to go back and say, hey, look, $17.50, we might not get the support we need and we'll lose a lot of money. Will you come for $10 or $15 or $2? You talk about destroying credibility of the board. That smacks of waffleism right down the line. I believe the resolution that applies to this states that any special activity, i.e. party, picnic, etc., 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 that loses more than $500, that would be discontinued. As a matter of fact, all of them be discontinued. Now, after a conversation with the treasurer of the local and hearing the board speak here, some have been very, very silent, some haven't. I think the only thing we can do is publicize it, ask the members to come and enjoy a Christmas party, whether they like Christmas parties or not, and support their local.
And it's time to do it.
All right. Now, if we lose $3,000, $4,000, we're not going to have to worry about special activities anymore, because there aren't going to be any. Now, I know it's a hard road to hoe, throwing good money after bad, but this is just another type of support situation. We're talking about overtime support, we're talking about working support, we're talking about Christmas party support, we're talking about 1981 support. Now, if they don't support the Christmas party, they've told you something right there. They don't want them. The majority does not want it. So I think we should go the way we are. It certainly doesn't hurt to take a poll by the area reps, or go through their team reps or whatever, and get back to Don as to how many plan on going. That will give us an idea how much flack we're going to get, or if any at all. But to go back to the membership to say, okay, will you come if we make it 10 or 15 or whatever? I don't think it'll do any good either. The ones that are going to come will come for $17.50. The ones that aren't going to come either can't afford it or didn't support it in the first place.
Make a correction.
Go ahead.
Okay, when you're talking about the resolution, it was the second resolution by Rick Mann, which was tabled until after this year's Christmas party. It is not a resolution in this local. It's tabled. No, the $500 one.
There's two, and those
There's-
Rick Mann is 500.
Right. The one, it reads, whereas, and all it does is talk about the posting on the bulletin board of anything that would participate in the meeting could be voted on $500, in excess of $500.
All right.
The other one is tabled, so that is not.
All right. The other one, I'll stand corrected on that. However, the first membership meeting after the Christmas party, you will find that on the floor, and you will find it voted on. So you're not going to have to worry about it anyway. I just think we're spinning our wheels here, even discussing this. I disagree.
Okay, the only reason this is brought up by me is because two members approached me out of my area to bring it up. I personally agree with the majority of the board that 1750 is fixed and so be it. But it would be very bad for us not to go back and at least canvass the team to take the info back to the Special Activities Committee.
I agree. That's what I said. I agree. There's certainly nothing wrong with that. To find out. But as far as adjusting the prices, the membership has told you that they upheld this board's decision, and that's it. Do you have something more, Christmas party?
Yeah.
You talk once, let him talk, then you can.
Fine. Go ahead.
Remind me about the treasury.
Okay, this has to do with the Christmas party money.
Okay.
Right now, we have $3,000 in our account that we can use. The account in Washington is down to $40. Between now and December, we'll generate about $3,000 or $3,500 on the dues rebate. Dues rebate. So assuming that we get hurt on the Christmas party and we lose $3,000 or $3,500, that's the money that we're going to be losing. We'll still be able to carry on with the present $3,000 that we have. And the anticipated expenditures that are going to be coming up would be the seminar that's coming up. We don't have any national board meeting except the one that we're going to this weekend.
And that's already paid for.
And that's already paid for. So we have the seminar that's going to cost us a couple